Are you a business owner stuck in fear, doubt, and worry about what the marketplace will look like in the future? Then this show is for you. Strap on your seatbelt and get ready to disrupt and innovate. Here's your host, Lisa Levy.
Today on Disrupt and Innovate, I am excited to welcome John Golden. He's a globally recognized sales and marketing thought leader, speaker, and strategist. John has conducted over 1,500 interviews for Sales Pop, a top 2% global podcast, and previously led Healthweight and Omega Performances as their CEO. He's a lifetime martial artist, Amazon best-selling author. His books include Winning the Battle for Sales and Social Upheaval. Get ready for field-tested insights on influence, growth, and winning in modern sales. John, welcome to the conversation.
Well, thank you, Lisa. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
I am thrilled to have you here today. And this conversation of sales for business owners, leaders, CEOs, this is like always that one thing that, right, it makes or breaks our business.
Mm-hmm.
We do it well, it is a game changer. And when we suck, it can kill a business. So describe for us the work that you're doing today and why it's so important now.
Yeah, so the work that we're doing today, obviously our core business is Pipeliner CRM. So we have a CRM that's specifically built for salespeople and for sales organizations, very exclusively for sales. And we take a very salesperson first approach. And we've always built the product towards understanding the reality of salespeople, building the product to serve that reality. And then, unlike traditional CRM, which was always kind of built from command and control perspectives about here's what management needs, you build the system and then you dump it on top of the poor salespeople, and they're supposed to become data entry people. And we took the flip side, we flipped it over, took a different approach and say, no, if salespeople see value in using the system, then you will get the data that you're looking for. And then on top of that, we've also have a kind of a secondary, I wouldn't say secondary, more of a supporting mission, and that is to raise the profile of salespeople and the importance and help society in general understand the importance of salespeople, but also help salespeople to feel better about themselves, like to be proud of what they do, to see their job, to see sales not as a job, but to see it as a career. Because as you know, Lisa, there are so many people who, maybe go to college and do a marketing degree, right? They come out of college and they realize, oops, there ain't that many marketing jobs. So what they do is they say, okay, well, I'll take a sales job and hopefully then I'll get into marketing. So, and unfortunately, you have a lot of people who then kind of perceive that they get stuck in sales. They never embrace it. They never see it as a career. They see it as either a stepping stone or something they defaulted into. We're going to change that because, as you said, without sales, sales is the fuel of any business. And as we always like to say, revenue fixes everything. So this is how important they are. Whatever issues your company has, normally revenue will fix it. The alternative to not having revenue is
Wholeheartedly agree. Absolutely.
Is catastrophic. So that's kind of the mission today. It's to give salespeople the best tool for them and sales organizations, and also then and that's what we do through Sales Pop, and even integrating, Sales Pop into the platform is to help salespeople to develop their skills, to have a better sense of self, to see it as a career, and to understand that they play a pivotal role in society. Because when we look around the world today, Lisa, we see so many countries in conflict, right? And whether it's in actual military conflict or whether it's in trade conflict, the thing is, when you are trading fairly, when two countries are trading fairly and it's a win-win situation and they have respect for each other, then they're not going to be at war, right? Because it makes no sense. And it's the same thing. So salespeople have a very important role, because even in our society, because when businesses are exchanging value and you're selling services or products that help solve problems, and it's done in a win-win way and both sides are happy with that, I mean, that creates, as I said, that creates a knock-on effect for business in general, for society at large.
It does, and it surprises me. I guess it doesn't surprise me, but I hadn't thought about it this way, right? That salespeople feel stuck, right? As a business owner in my own right, right? Sales is the holy grail. I would lay down gold leaf for the best salespeople to walk on if that would help them close deals and generate, the recurring revenue and everything that we need in the business, right? I will fall over myself to make that happen. And I guess it surprises me a smidge, but I think, right, the problem is that we don't actually treat them well and we don't actually set that up. The command and control mindset. Oh my gosh, I hate that phrase, John. It's like it makes the hairs on the back of my
Mhm.
neck stand on end because that's the way we've always done it, right? That is so old school, so outmoded. Will you talk to me a little bit, give me a little bit of the details inside of the pipeline CRM and how aligning that for how salespeople do work makes that more effective, makes that more efficient, which actually drives sales? Will you describe just a little bit of that's reversal of thinking?
Yeah, no, absolutely, and just it's Pipeline or CRM, and the only reason I correct that is there used to be a CRM called Pipeline Deals, and they switched their name to Pipeline CRM to try and get some of our traffic, but it hasn't worked.
I'm betting that they aren't sales focused, right? That
No,
they aren't
no,
sales.
no. No, well, I don't know what they are. But anyway, that's an aside. So the difference is, right, so let's start at the very fundamentals. Our salespeople tend to be visual people, right? They tend to want to see things quickly. So that was one of the first things did is make sure that the product is as visual as possible so that you can look at it and it's intuitive and you understand what you're looking for. That's one of the most important things is so it has to be simple and easy for them to understand and understand that visually. We also then said, let's make it as simple as possible in terms of how you can drag and drop and change things really easily so you don't have this massive learning curve and learning a product. And then we said, okay, how can we percolate up insights so that it brings you value? So years ago, we started with making sure that the system was being as intelligent as possible. And now with AI, obviously that's increasing and helping us even more, that we can actually, start to percolate up things that are relevant to you as a salesperson. Like, look at this account has been untouched, this one is slowed down. Look at all your communications when AI reviews it, the sentiment is changing, right? The communication used to be all happy and bubbly and all of that, and now it's turning a bit neutral. No, in fact, it's turning a little negative. What's going on? Because it's reviewing all of the communication with that customer, including support tickets and all of that. So it's making the salesperson more intelligent, and probably not to say more intelligent, it's making them more informed, right?
Yes.
So that they can then apply their intelligence, their creativity, their insights on top of that. So when they engage with you as a prospect or a customer, they're coming from a place of of high information, of understanding where you are. So now we can get into what's important to you. How do we create value for you? Not how do I find out all these things about your company, which I should already know. Not do I say, oh, just remind me of, I know you talked to my colleague some time back, remind me of that conversation. Not putting the work back on you, but coming there properly prepared. And as I said, at the end of the day, Lisa, the best salespeople, they want to be creative problem solvers, right? And you can't be a creative problem solver unless you understand the issues and unless you're well informed about the circumstances. So that is really the gist of the system, is to make you as informed as possible. Therefore, when I engage with you, we can really get into that creative and relationship building. And that's where salespeople want to be. That's where the best salespeople want to be. And that's where the magic happens, right?
It is. And things that I didn't hear you mention, right, were metrics around the number of calls made today, right? The number of outbound emails sent, right? There's metrics that have been the cornerstone of stupid
Mhm.
sales forces for decades. Sorry, my
No, no,
soapbox.
no. I agree. I agree. I mean, the thing about, as I always find that the thing about data and technology is we can gather data about just about anything nowadays. And unfortunately, do you remember we had this era of big data? Remember that used to be a big, people, you could never shut up about big data, big data. And you're always saying, hang on a second, yeah, I can understand big data in some context, right? But in the context of everyday life or the life of a salesperson, it's not about big data, it's about small data. It's about small relevant data. And I think we got to this point where, yeah, we can track everything. And that's great if you want to do that. But what does it really tell you, right? I mean, to be honest, if I have an auto dialer, I can make 10,000 calls in a day. What does that tell you? We need to move beyond that and start looking at the results and outcomes and not on, activities. Yes. Are there activities? Do you need to do things in order to progress? Well, of course you do. But if you just get so focused on measuring those kind of activities or those kind of data points, it may make you feel good. The odd time, it may give you an insight or two. But generally speaking, what is that telling you? What is that actually telling you? Is you made 30 calls yesterday, and I go, great, because that's what I want you to do is 30 calls a day. Now, were those high value calls? Were they quality calls? Were they calls to the right ideal customer profile? So lots of things like that. There's so many nuances and qualifiers that if you're just looking at metrics for the sake of looking at metrics, yeah, I can say Lisa made 30 calls yesterday, therefore she's doing great. John over here only made 15 calls, so he's crap. We're going to have to get on him immediately, put him on it. And then it turns out, well, actually, 5 of John's calls were to our ideal customer profile, and he's got the right thing. None of Lisa's were.
Right? But in years gone by, I would have been rewarded for the
Sure.
volume, and nobody would have looked
Absolutely.
at the impact of what those 5 calls actually
Absolutely.
meant to, right? Actually, not only were they the ideal customer profile, but you actually ended up closing 3 of the 5
Right.
and were the
Bet.
highest earner for the quarter when you look at the whole story and behind all of that. In this paradigm shift of really empowering and making that sale, putting the salesperson first, right, in this experience, how is that changing results for your clients?
Well, the first thing, Lisa, is the very simple thing of adoption, because that has always been the Achilles heel of CRM has been adoption. And there's so much millions and millions and millions of dollars have been wasted on implementations of CRM, and then the salespeople just don't want to use it. I recall back when I first came, like I'm originally from Ireland, and when I first came to the US, it was during the dot-com era. And I came to Silicon Valley in the mid later 90s. And I remember at the time, the company I worked for, we did an implementation of, I think it was Siebel probably at the time. It was Siebel. So I remember one day, because I was working in the product and product development area. That's how I'd come over at the time. And I just noticed this group of individuals who had occupied cubicles in a corner of the office. There was about 10 of them, or 5 to 10 of them. And I said, who's that over there? And they said, oh, that's KPMG. And I said, oh, really? I said, what are they doing? They said, they're customizing and implementing the new CRM for the salespeople, right? So this went on for about a year or so as they worked on this. God knows how many millions of dollars they were paying. Remember, it was
That was
.com, so like,
fast. Hey, let's
yeah,
just go with
yeah.
that was actually a fast
Yeah, yeah.
implementation.
So I'm probably wrong. It probably was longer. Anyway, and the millions that was invested in it, and all of that. And then guess what? It gets rolled out to the salespeople. None of them would use it. They said, no, it's unusable. It's terrible. It doesn't do anything. And that's, and so the first issue you have there is is adoption. I mean, if you're not going to take the end user into account, I mean, seriously. So that is the biggest thing, is actually creating a system that they see. Yes, even the most cynical say, yeah, it's got actually some value to me. I can understand it. I can see how it operates. It's giving me feedback here that actually is useful to me. It's helping keep me on track. Once you get those kind of reactions, now you're on a different altogether.
You are, and that whole experience, I have to imagine with the approach that you're taking starts well ahead of an implementation date, right? You're taking those users, those salespeople on an organizational change experience.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and working with the customers, and the thing is, it's not. And the good thing about it with salespeople, when you start to show the benefits to them, they don't really need that much selling on it. They don't really need that much explanation, because if once they go, yeah, okay, I can see a few things that can help me. They're pretty happy, and that's a reflection. And to be honest, that's a reflection of how As you mentioned earlier, like just how poorly they've been treated in the past, to be honest, where they've had systems dumped upon them. They've had, uh, I mean, let's be honest, most of them, they're undertrained, they're undersupported. Um, they're the only people in the organization who don't have a predictable income, right? And yet they're supposed to operate in this kind of unpredictable world where they don't even know what they're going to earn next month or next, the month after. And yet at the same time, you're burdening them with technology. You're ranting at them for not putting data in. You're then complaining that they're missing, their activity metrics or whatever it is. Yeah, it doesn't take too much to understand why a lot of them are demotivated or they bounce around a lot.
Absolutely. In technology, right? We have a belief that everything when we're growing and scaling and building our businesses, that the equation is people plus process times technology equals growth and scale. And it has to be people plus process
It does.
first, or technology just makes it so much worse.
I love that you actually raised that because I just want to put it like a triple underline on what you just said there. Because one of the great myths about sales as well is this idea that, and this is the other side. This is where salespeople and sales leaders sometimes shoot themselves in the foot. Right? It's this idea of, oh no, process is for other things. It's not for sales because this is really an art. It's not it's not something you can processize. And you're saying nonsense. Process is your friend, and all the research will prove that. There's research by McKinsey and ZS Associates and all of that show the top performing sales organizations in the world have an extremely well defined sales process. Every stage in that process has steps also identified in it, and it down to the detail, and it is enforced and it's rigidly adhered to. And that's when they become high performing. So it's actually the opposite. Process is the friend of salespeople. And the more salespeople and sales leaders understand that, the better they actually start to perform.
So, and it is an interesting point and a conversation I've had recently. The challenge with that is finding the sales leaders who really design those processes well is very, very, very difficult. And those people who do it have either already exited, right, their unicorn stories and they're sitting on a beach sipping cocktails with umbrellas. Or the other exit for that group of people is they are now CEOs and entrepreneurs in their own right because they had that next idea and said, well, I know how to make this happen. So having a team like yours that has invested into a tool set, a system, and a platform, I'm betting that there are some of those secrets of sales process built in and configurable inside of Pipeliner.
Oh yeah, 100%. We have it so you can build your sales process, you can build the steps inside it, you can make them mandatory so you can't even move from stage to stage until you fill them. So we build all of that in. We offer advice too. I mean, we have resources about how to build a good sales process, etc. And at the end of the day, to be honest, Lisa, it's not that complicated. It's like most things in life. People love to overcomplicate. They love to say, "Oh," or this, right? People, and this is what's always throughout my career. This has been the thing that I have struggled with the most with other people is this idea of when you're working with some people and you want to build a process, everybody wants to build a process to every single exception under the sun, right? So now you have a spaghetti process, right? Instead of saying, let's build the ideal process to the ideal scenario, and then let's deal with exceptions as they come up. Therefore, now we have a track to run on. And is it going to be perfect for every scenario? Well, no, it's not. But it will likely get you 70, 80% of the way there, mostly, sometimes 100%. And that is the thing is, same thing with sales processes. You just have to look at how does your ideal customer profile or prospect, how do they buy? What's their buying process, right? And you map your sales process to match their buying process. And the other thing, Lisa, is that sometimes it's because building sales process is perceived as being quite a difficult or involved thing. Oftentimes what happens is, as you said, somebody builds a process and everybody goes, thank God we have our process now. And they think, yeah, exactly. That'll do us for the next 2, 3, 5 years or whatever. And then you go, well, yeah, it would. There's only one little snag here. does customer buying behavior ever change? And then when you go, yeah, and it's changing rapidly all the time right now. Ergo, your sales process should be dynamic. You need to be constantly reviewing it and making sure that it's applicable to the world you live in today. So yeah, I agree. Absolutely, process 100%. And I think as we get more into AI and things like that, what can happen is AI may take care of a lot of those things, but you need to define your processes. There's no way around it.
So, John, if you've piqued the interest or curiosity from members of the audience, how do they learn more about you, about Pipeliner, anything else you want to direct them to?
Yeah, I mean, I'm easy to find on LinkedIn, John Golden. You can find me also on our SalesPop YouTube channel on salespop.net. And then for Pipeliner, pipelinersales.com. And I would encourage you to go check it out. Take a free trial, no obligation, no credit card required. Low low barrier to test it out as possible. And I'd encourage you to compare it to what you have seen in the past or maybe what you're using today, and you might be surprised.
I think that that's fantastic. Everybody should always be checking out new and emerging things that are different, to see what's out there to make an improvement in their business. All of the links will be in the show notes, so it's easy for everybody to find out more about Pipeliner or John himself. In our conversation today, John, you've taken us on this journey to understand that sales and leveraging the right CRM puts the salesperson first, so that it's easy, that there's low barrier to adoption. We're not talking command and control. We're talking about making it easy for salespeople to do what they were hired to do, so that they can understand that they are in a powerful position and they should be proud of their career and this journey, because they are people who make businesses thrive.
Mm-hmm.
We talked a little bit about the idea that revenue fixes everything. And while tongue in cheek, I'll question that. But it's true. Revenue forgives a lot of other challenges inside of a business and gives us the opportunity to leverage growth and scale from that. In our sales world, we can be swallowed up in that big data space, but what really matters is the small, relevant pieces of data. It's outcomes, not activity, that drive things forward. John, it was fantastic having you here with us today. And audience members, you know my rules. Don't get left behind. Join me next time.
That's it for today's episode of Disrupt and Innovate. Head over to iTunes and subscribe to the show.